What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about the $0 down lease offer that Polestar currently has on the Polestar 3. So if you're in the market for a Polestar 3, I think you'll get a lot of value from this video because I'll explain why leasing this particular car makes a lot more sense than financing it. On top of the great lease deal, you're also getting a Costco rebate of $1,000 or $1,250, depending on which membership you have. So in the first part of this video, what we'll do is we'll talk about this Polestar lease deal in detail. We'll break down the due at signing amount, we'll talk about the mileage allowances, and I'll give you lots of helpful tips and tricks along the way to help you make the right financial decision. In the second part of this video, I'll talk about why this Polestar 3 is a good lease deal in terms of value, because not all cars lease well, right, relative to the MSRP, but the Polestar 3 does, and I'll show you why using my 1.25% rule of leasing. And then in the third part of this video, I'll talk about 5 additional reasons why leasing this particular car makes a lot of financial sense. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to like this video and please be sure to follow. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Polestar website. And as you can see here, it says the Polestar 3, you can lease it with a $0 first payment and $0 due at signing. And you're going to receive the full value of the expired $7,500 EV tax credit on us. So let's go ahead and shop available cars and see what they have near me. So the first vehicle is this single motor Polestar 3, which I'm not interested in. I need an all-wheel drive. So I'm going to kind of mimic this as if I were really shopping for this car. I like this spec right here, long range, dual motor, all-wheel drive. Estimated delivery date is immediate, so it's available for immediate delivery. So let's go ahead and click on this vehicle here, and that's going to bring us to this page where you're going to get a full breakdown, pictures, all the specifications. It has 489 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Man, these EV numbers are just crazy. You have a range of 315 miles. Here's the exterior, interior color, the wheels, and the included packages. You can go ahead and read the rest if you'd like, but I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and focus on the monthly payment, which is what you guys are all here for. Now, here you're going to see this toggle, which says include taxes and fees. I already have lease selected. So let's go ahead and include all taxes and fees because that $0 down, the price that they advertise doesn't include taxes and fees. So even if we had this at a $0 down payment, you're going to see that the due at signing amount is still $2,500. And this is because you have fees of $1,645 and you have taxes of $864. So you typically have to pay taxes on rebates anytime you lease a car, at least in the state of Washington. And then you have fees like destination fee, dealer fee, etc. Now, I want to structure this how I would actually structure this in the real world. And 7,500 miles is just not enough. So I'm going to up this to 12,000 miles, right? And with 12,000 miles, the monthly payment jumps to $849 a month. Again, this includes sales tax, right? So this is going to be like real life numbers. You can walk into the dealership, pay $2,500, and your monthly payment's going to be about $850 a month. And if we go ahead and look at the breakdown of this vehicle, you'll see that it has a base price of $67,500. You have a destination charge of $1,400. The configuration is $5,900. Paint $1,300. $500 for the interior, wheels are included, and then we have a total vehicle MSRP of $76,600, and then we have $18,000 in discounts. Now, what I want to do is really focus on the all right, so I found it. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see this section where it says offer. And then you'll see that for each additional mile that you drive over the 12,000 miles that we customize, you're going to pay 25 cents a mile. So if you drive more than 12,000 miles, make sure you get a 15,000 mile a year lease. Do not get a 7,500 mile a year lease if you drive 12 or 15,000 miles a year, because you're going to end up paying 25 cents a mile for each mile that you go over 7,500 miles a year. And that's going to be a lot more expensive than just paying for that mileage up front. And as you can see here, all the account servicing is provided by Volvo Car Financial Services. So let's go ahead and scroll back up to the middle of the page and take a look at the monthly payment and go ahead and run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this particular car. Now, another pro tip that I want to give you guys before we go to the next section is this due at signing amount, you want to try to put the least amount of money down. So if you're shopping for this car, be sure you ask them if you can make it a true sign and drive where you roll this $2,500 into the monthly payment, and then you can make it a true sign and drive where you owe nothing up front. The monthly payment will probably go up about $30 for each $1,000 that you roll in, approximately. So you're probably looking at about $30, $60, about $75 on top of this $849 a month, but then you're not putting anything down. But let's go ahead and run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Polestar 3. So let's take the $2,508 that's due at signing, and let's subtract the monthly payment of $849 from that amount, since it's included in the due at signing amount, and that gets you $1,659. Now, if we divide this by 36, since it's a 36-month lease, as you can see here, it breaks that due at signing amount into 36 equal parts, and that's $46. Now we'll add the monthly payment of $849 back in. And when we do that, we get $895. So this is your effective monthly payment. So if you multiply this number by 36, that's the total cost of the lease over 36 months. Now what I like to do is divide this number by this vehicle's MSRP. And if you can remember, the MSRP on this vehicle is $76,600. Divide this by 76,600. And you get 1.17%. So we'll multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage. You get 1.16 or 1.17%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of value, this is an excellent lease deal. It's what I call a great lease deal. So anytime you run this calculation and you take the effective monthly payment and divide it by the MSRP, if you get a number over 1.5%, that typically isn't a vehicle that I would lease. It's not what I consider a good lease deal in terms of value. And if you're over 1.5%, it typically negates the financial savings of leasing, any car. If you're under 1.5%, that's a good lease deal. That's a vehicle that I would lease. Under 1.25% is a great lease deal. That's definitely a vehicle that I'm leasing. And under 1% is an amazing lease deal in terms of value. And as you can see here, you're sitting right in between 1% and 1.25% at 1.16 or 1.17%. So this is a great lease deal in terms of value. And you'll see why in this next section of the video when we compare the total out-of-pocket cost over 36 months when you finance this car versus when you lease this same car. So let's go back up and let's go ahead and act like we were going to finance this particular car, right? Now, if you were to finance this car, and let's just say that we put the $2,500 down, your monthly payment's looking at $1,062 a month. And if we lease this with the same $2,500 down, you're looking at a monthly payment of $804 a month, right? You're looking at a monthly payment of $849 a month, okay? $849 a month versus if you financed it, I wish it would just save your options. $849 versus $1,062. And you'll see that if we take the $1,062 minus $849, you have a monthly price difference of $213. And if you multiply this by 36, you're going to save $7,668 a month by leasing this car instead of financing it over the 36-month term. And that's where my 1.25% rule of leasing really comes in. If you're over 1.5%, you're not really saving that much money. Now, in this part of the video, I want to talk about 5 additional reasons why leasing this particular car makes a lot of financial sense. The first reason is because when you lease it, you're going to have a lower down payment, typically, right? As you can see, you can lease this car for just $2,500 down. You may or may not be able to finance this car for $2,500 down. Most people are going to have to put more than $2,500 down because typically the banks are going to require that. So not only with leasing, you're going to have put less money down, but you're going to have a lower monthly payment, as you saw when I used the calculator. The second reason you want to lease is because you do not have to worry about depreciation, right? That's the biggest thing with EVs and any car that costs $76,000 in general. It could be a Mercedes, a BMW, whatever. This car is going to depreciate at a faster rate than you can make payments. And what happens with a lot of people, if they finance this car, even at 0%, is 2, 3, 4 years down the road when you want to go trade this car in or sell it. And if you put minimal money down, you're going to have $5,000, maybe $10,000, maybe more of negative equity. And that's when your outstanding loan balance is more than what your vehicle is worth. And you're responsible for that negative equity, right? But when you lease it, you don't have to take on that risk. So you have no depreciation risk when you lease. You know exactly what your depreciation is going to be, and you're not going to have any surprises, okay? The third reason that I would lease this car, and maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't happen, but maybe, just maybe, Polestar goes bankrupt in a year or 2 years' time, right? Just look what happened to Fisker. People who bought Fiskers for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, those cars are worth 20 grand now. So the landscape is changing. We're going to see which EV companies are truly going to survive over the next couple of years. I think leasing really takes that risk of this company or any EV company going out of business. So that's another reason that I would lease. The fourth reason I would lease is because leasing is going to include gap insurance, right? Gap insurance is, let's say you total this car in 2 years' time and your outstanding loan balance is, let's say $50,000, but the insurance company's quoting you $38,000 to replace your car. Gap insurance is going to take care of that difference of $12,000. When you finance a car, you have to pay for gap insurance out of pocket. When you lease a car, it's typically included in the lease. Outside of Toyota, every single other bank or lender that leases, gap insurance is included. And then the fifth reason you want to lease this car is diminished value protection. So diminished value protection, what I mean by that is, let's say 6 months after you lease this car, a year after you lease this car, you get in a fender bender. Now, even if you have that car properly fixed or repaired by the insurance company, if you were to finance that car, that diminished value is going to hurt your resale value, or when you trade in value, that accident's going to show up on your vehicle history report. But when you lease it, that accident is still on your vehicle history report, but it doesn't impact the cost of your lease. You can still turn it in at the end of the lease term and walk away, right? And a lot of people, even when they buy cars and they get in a fender bender, like my cousin, for instance, she says that once she got in her accident, her car never drove the same. So with leasing, it's going to protect you from that. So, yeah, if you're in the market for a Polestar 3, last fact I want to bring up is the Costco rebate. So an additional $1,000 Costco rebate, $1,250 if you have the executive membership. So that's going to drop your payment down an additional $30 or so, which makes this lease deal even sweeter. So if you have Costco, be sure to use your Costco membership. Don't forget. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. If you have any questions about this lease, let me know in the comment section below. If you have any general leasing questions, let me know in the comment section below. And be sure to check out DriveMatch.com. It's a company that I co-founded where you can get pre-negotiated lease deals, just about anywhere in the country, and we'll deliver those vehicles directly to your driveway. DriveMatch.com. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.